Right then, it's just gone 7:30, just arrived at the car park for where you're allowed to park for this day session. As you can see over my shoulder, that's the pub that you go and get your day tickets from if you ever want to visit this venue. So got everything in the back of the car, scaled everything down, and literally no barrow, no anything. After walking around yesterday, I realised that the tracks around the lake are not going to be the one for pushing a barrow round, so I've scaled everything down. Got a backpack, mat, bucket, and the rods and the landing net just elasticated together, so really light. Probably everything you need for a day session like this, really, for getting around the lake and keeping everything light and mobile. So let's talk in, let's get the stuff out of the boot, get it on my back, and let's get over the lake and see if we can catch ourselves some day ticket carp. I'll catch up with you shortly. Right, so it's pretty apparent that quite a lot of people, we'll say quite a lot, but at least maybe 10 to a dozen turned up maybe in the latter half of the afternoon yesterday, if not first thing this morning. Now obviously I got here about 7:30, which isn't overly late, you know. It's only really just started to get light sort of around 7:30, probably you know, probably half an hour or so before I arrived. But yeah, it's pretty apparent that it's there's a lot more people down here than I saw yesterday when I'd done that lap. So I've come up to the end of the lake, which I saw the first lot of fish activity, and there is someone opposite in one of the swims that I wanted to get in. There is someone opposite. Now obviously I don't know what he's been doing or kind of, you know, where he's fishing. So what I'm thinking I might do is move up one peg, because I have seen some swirls on the surface and a few bubbles and stuff pop up. So I'm thinking I might give it a go. Like I say, one swim up, and then maybe move down from there and see what the morning has in store. But I think it's well worth a couple of hours, where a lot of the anglers seem to be down in the main bulk area of the lake. Obviously it's closest to the car park, you know, etc. And it's easy to become lazy and, you know, just fish comfortably, whereas I'm here for the day. I'm willing to put myself out a bit, you know, sit in the bush or whatever needs to be done to try and nip myself a few fish. So what I'm going to do, I think, is get the rod set up in that swim, one up from where I was going to go. It gives me access to some real snaggy areas of the lake, a bit of margin area, but I'll show you that once I get down and get sorted anyway. But yeah, I think that's going to be the plan of action for now, at least. Travelling really light, so if I need to get up and go within, you know, I can do within sort of 5 minutes, get everything chucked back over my shoulder and away I'll go. So let's go and get the rods out and see how the next couple of hours pan out, and we'll take it from there. So I'll catch up with you shortly. Right, so very quickly, just before I drop the rods in on this likely looking area, I just want to quickly just go through the rigs that I'm going to be using today. Well, they're no different to the rigs that I use pretty much anywhere else. I only really have maybe 2 or 3 rigs in my armoury that I ever really use and I've got confidence in and know that they work. So I don't ever go really tweaking or chopping or changing rigs, you know, on different locations. I know they catch fish, I know they work, I know they give great hook holds. So for me, there's no reason to go and change things around too much. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly swing the camera around and just show you what I'm going to be doing. So obviously, as usual, got the rod set up on tubing system. Just going to use some little 2.5 ounce flat pairs, because obviously I don't really know the lake bed out there, but I'm assuming it's going to be pretty silty. So going to have on this one slip D rig with a sticky wafter, and then what I'll do is I'll just hook on a small little bag of pellet, just for a nice little parcel of bait down on a closer spot. And then I'm just going to do a hinge stiff with a longish boom on there, so I'm just going to put that down a channel, and again with a sticky manila pop-up on that one, sticky manila wafter on that one. So nothing too crazy, real basic, really simple. I'm just trying to nick a bite and then grow from there. But I think what I'm going to do is probably, like I say, fish close in on one of the rods and then just put one up the left hand side maybe, just where it's a little bit more snaggy and sort of more of a safe haven for them, and put maybe like 10-12 baits around that one, and just leave this one close in, sit back away from the water's edge, and see if anything happens over the next couple of hours. So let's get these on the rods, get these out, and we can talk maybe about the swim and stuff like that and kind of what I've got in front of me. So let's get these rods out. So the rods have been out like a good half an hour or so now, and they've settled themselves. Just wanted to maybe just run through really what I've looked for when I've come down here yesterday, how I'm kind of approaching today, and things I kind of look at when I'm coming down to a new venue, whether that's like a day ticket venue or, you know, somewhere down for the weekend, whatever I'm deciding to do for session wise really. So obviously I come down yesterday, I'd done a couple of laps of the lake and found fish in a couple of different areas. It was quite sunny, so obviously hat, glasses, essential. Keep those rays out of your eyes, and it makes obviously spotting fish a lot easier. You can get a decent pair of Polaroids nowadays. I've got the Fortis ones, they're what, $19.99, probably pick them up even cheaper online. So well worth the investment if you're going to kind of go around your chosen lake and scope it out as such. So I do recommend, you know, on a hot day at least, getting a hat and glasses on, but your glasses are a must in my eyes. So I'll flip this camera around. So I've come up this end obviously today, going on what I see yesterday, but not only that, this area of the lake gives a lot of access to all different like little nooks and crannies. So obviously you see over there you got things like, you know, fallen trees, little sort of cutouts in the margins, again more marginal features, snags, fallen trees, etc. All these places are good little, you know, patrolling routes for fish, good little hideouts, areas that they like to lay up and feel safe in. And again, you know, you got margins, real snaggy areas, trees again in the margins, and all these little places are all little things that the carp will just go around and they'll know inside out. They'll feel safe in them. They'll obviously would have patrolled around the lake many and many times, and you know, when there's a fair few anglers on the lake, these are the sort of places that they're going to go and be led up under, and just mooching out and about and going back. It's like their little sanctuary really. So I always look for little things like that, just little differences, rather than just, you know, fishing open water and just fishing over bait and waiting for them. I tend to go and find little areas like this one here, real quiet, secluded little areas of the lake where there's no other pressure other than my two lines, and yeah, just drop little parcels of bait. Don't go putting loads in, just setting, you know, one trap on one area, another trap on somewhere else, and just giving it an hour or two, because you know, if they are in the area, then they will search that out and they will find your bait, especially in little intimate little corners like this. They haven't got to travel far, and a fish will get around and they'll find your bait no problem at all. And to be fair, if anything, they probably won't be expecting to get caught either. So yeah, I always look for those little edges and those little differences when you're getting around these day ticket lakes, because like I say, you can follow the crowd and just fish to blatant obvious spots and stuff like that, or just, like I say, spom the hell out of it. But this sort of fishing is exciting. It keeps you active, it keeps you mobile, keeps your brain ticking over, trying to think ahead about, you know, what your next step is, what your next move's going to be. So like I said, I'm going to give it a couple of hours in this swim, and if I add nothing, then I will definitely be on the move and go looking. Hopefully this sun will make an appearance and make things a little bit And then here we go, talking about this already, there's a fish coming through my margin now, literally under my rod tips, and I haven't even got my glasses on, I can still see it. So that's always good to know that there's definitely fish in the area. So I'm going to wind this one up now. But yeah, don't be afraid to be different, don't be afraid to go looking and finding fish, because it can be easy just to sit down and camp for the weekend or the day session. You get the most out of it and you feel a lot more rewarded when you have one as well. So let's leave it there. I'll catch up with you a little bit later on in the morning. Right, so a good couple of hours passed already, and uneventful. Seen a couple of fish sort of scoot in, a couple of fish scoot out. Not really any other signs of fish, you know, getting their heads down. No swirls, no real bubble patches, no nothing really. So rods are in, everything's down, rucksack's on. I'm going to go and have a little look up this bank. So my house just turned up pretty much opposite bar 1 and cast across to my margin, which isn't really ideal. So I'm kind of glad that I made the decision to whip the rods in. Someone else just ventured up on the other side, so where they're going I don't really know. Looking like the sun's starting to make an appearance, and so is everybody else. So I've got a feeling today's going to be quite tough, if I'm completely honest with you. But still, we keep going on. We keep going. I'm going to go and search for some fish now. So let's see what I can go and find. Get the glasses on, have a little look in the edges and stuff like that, and see if I can find anything. And try and nick a bite from somewhere else. So fingers crossed we can go find some fish. Right, so as you can tell, the sun's out. I've moved from the other swim. Like I say, nothing was happening, and the guy opposite me started casting over towards my margin when it's literally, I don't know, 20 yards anyway. It's a bit, it's the kind of things you have to deal with on day ticket waters really. So I'm quite, like I say, I'm quite glad I reeled in at that point and decided to come for a wander. Now there are people sort of dotted around every few swims, and I've come to this swim. It gives a nice little view of this island. Now there's a couple of little sort of just slight indentations in the island there, which I'm going to put a rod over to, I think. Going to put maybe a couple of wafter rigs over there, and a couple of little PVA bags, and sit on it for an hour or so. Like I say, this sun's come up, and we know that obviously carp patrol islands. They love islands, you know, they'll scoot around them all day, every day. And I think if I can get 2 baits in there, I'm just going to flick a lead over there first. Just want to feel sort of how deep it is and what kind of bottom it is, just and get the range. And if I can just get two rigs placed over there with just a nice PVA bag of crushed boilie and sort of pellet, just sit on them for an hour or so. I think with this sun and this wind pushing through around here, I reckon a few might scoot around that island and might be able to nick one. So that's the plan anyway. Seems relatively shallow underneath my feet, so it's looking at it probably just going to slope out towards that island. But obviously with this heat, if it is quite shallow over there off that island and it's, you know, slowly dropping off, then that is somewhere that the fish are going to find attractive. Just scooting up and down in that shallower water with the warmth of this sun on their backs. So let's get the rods rigged up. Let's get a lead over there quickly. Just have a little feel just to see what it's like, and we can get fishing again. So let's crack on, and I'll catch up with you once the rods are out. Right then, so both the rods are now out, both on wafters, both just with those little small walnut sized PVA bags, just with pellet in. I'm not trying to feed that island, I'm purely just trying to hope that 1 or 2 scoot round, and it's just a little parcel of bait there with that wafter just literally amongst it for one mouthful, and bang, they're mine. not putting out any freebies and scattering no bait around the edge of that island. You know, it's warm enough for them to be scooting around the island and, you know, on the lookout for anything. So there should be just 2 little rigs there, 2 little wafters, and a little pouch of pellet for them to suck down if they come across it. So I'm going to give it again another hour or 2 in here tops, and then go and look elsewhere. Like I say, the sun has come out now. It's turned into a completely different day. This morning it was actually quite nippy. I had the coat on, zipped right up, etc. And so yeah, this morning was quite nippy. I had the coat on, etc. But now it's turned into an absolute banging day. It's like summer's reappeared. Obviously after a couple of hours, if it don't happen here, I will go down to the corner where I see fish yesterday when I was doing my little walk round, and see if they're tucked away in that corner again. Obviously I've got the glasses I was talking about. Get them on, have a good look in the margin, see if I can see any shadows or anything like that. They were up on the top yesterday, so I might even be able to nick one out just on a bit of, you know, floating whatever. So we'll give it a couple of hours in here, see what happens. Fingers crossed we can nick one, but apparently there's a match on tomorrow, so the other side of the lake isn't being favoured by the guys that are coming down at the moment, because obviously they're wanting to do a night. They can't do that bank because there's going to be a match first thing in the morning. So a lot of the people are now starting to move around or are dropping onto this side of the bank. So depending on what goes on here, and obviously down in the corner, might be in my favour to go and have a look on that other bank where there may not be as much pressure because people are wanting to do a night. So see what the next couple of hours holds. If not, we'll get on our bike, get to another swim, go and have a look around the lake. So I'll catch up with you a little bit later on. Alright, so firstly, apologies if it's pretty windy and you can't really hear me that properly, but so I've come around further down the bank and there's a tree that's fallen, and lo and behold there's fish underneath my feet. It just looked too good not to have fish in it. It's like a real shallow bay area, loads of cover, loads of overhanging trees, and obviously this good one for me to get up and have a good look down. Now the water visibility ain't great, but obviously without the help of these shades, I know I said it already 2 or 3 times, without the help of these shades I wouldn't have seen even the silhouettes of the fish, let alone the fish themselves. But there's at least half a dozen fish down here. They've been scooting in and out all around underneath these trees. Just spin the camera around a sec. So I've got up the tree and they're all just down off the edge of this one, all around here. They've just been moving in and out freely, even coming in as close as down here onto this branch. But yeah, they've been moving around here, like I say, all up around, down to this other side, scooting up and down. There's definitely an amount of fish in here, and this wind and this sun is making this base so attractive to these fish because it's really warm, this wind, and blowing in nicely. So I'm going to get down, I think, and maybe get a rod out down to the right hand side and get a rod down just off the tip of this tree. Keep it all close quarters because we've got some obviously got some people out on the boats today as well, so the fish are probably just taking sanctuary in here, staying out of the way of it all. And like I say, the water's really busy as well today. Apparently I've spoke to a couple of people and this is the busiest it's been for a good while. So let's get a couple of rods sorted whilst these fish seem to have maybe just scooted out for a little while. Try and get a couple of rods just lowered down without causing any disruption or to the water, and then sit back on these rods and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can nick ourselves a fish, because this is the first chance I've really seen fish that are probably going to be catchable. Let's get down from this tree and see if we can get a couple of rods sorted and get them in, and yeah, see if we can nick ourselves one. Finally. I've been pretty much punished all afternoon from every angle, and I was just walking back to the car. I was thinking about calling it a day, if I'm completely honest, and I just walked past the bus stop and I'm 99% sure I heard slurp. So I've come down, there's loads of bread in the margin. Stood on the platform, and believe it or not, spooked a couple of fish from underneath the platform having a go. Stood there, watched, crumbed up a bit of the bread that obviously these bird feeders had left behind. Lo and behold, about 6-10 fish come in straight away, start having it. So I'm there scurrying around trying to get a rod set up, and then the bloody birds move in. Managed to spook them off with the net, and then look at this, for about five minutes, bit of patience, just sorting stuff out, getting things all sorted out. 5 minutes patience, and look at this for a little belter. Absolute quality little fish. Look at him. How cool is he? 3-lined bread off the surface which somebody else has left around, and let's get this leaf off his tail. 3-line bread off the surface, literally under the rod tips. Just stood there watching them come in, savaging all the bread, and then look at this little one, absolutely made up with this. Oh, stressful day, I'm not going to lie. The birds are at it already. I'm running out of bread. Might have to do a trip down the shop, but look at him, so cool. Not going to keep him out for too long. It's obviously roasting hot. Well, I say roasting, it's only because I'm in black, but it's a nice day. Hoping I get another chance. Look at him. What a cool little fish. Slipping back, see if we can go and catch one of his mates, because underneath my feet there was a much bigger common, I know that much. I was kept alternating the sides which I had the bread, hoping that you'd be the one that snaffled it, but this little monkey had it instead. So let's slip him back and see if we can get him come back in again and start feeding. Oh wow, that's a right turn up for the books. As I was mentioning, I was literally ready to go home. Like I say, I've been punished from all angles today, and I often question myself why I bother with day ticket waters, because I think angling etiquette just goes out the window really. Obviously I'm used to waters which is so much more quiet, and you know, you respect each other's water and stuff like that. But yeah, so I literally had everything packed up from round in that bay. The fish seemed to duty off, which didn't really help from someone else chucking a lead over into this bay area. But yeah, I was just walking down the main road, and 99% sure I heard, like, you know, slurping. Done a quick U-E, turned back on myself, come back in, and there's fish just slurping up slices of bread underneath my feet. But obviously someone's been in and fed the ducks, and yeah, they're having it. So I quickly, there's a bit on the bank. Which I quickly just shred into, you know, a handful of freebies and just kind of underarm it out, literally underneath my feet. And then about another 5 or 6 fish are coming up, all competing for it. Mad. Couldn't believe it. I quickly got one of my rods, bit of tubing off, all of that lot. Quickly tied on a quarter mixer hook. Got one of the little chunks off the floor from the bread that I'd been crushing up. Literally lowered it down on one side. And then what, 2 minutes later, bang, gone. And I had that little linear. Quality little fish. I'm going to probably sit it out for an hour now, I reckon. Maybe just hope that they come back in. There's still some bread down in this margin. I've kind of scooped it all out and broken it down into little pieces, hoping that they might come back in, you know, in a half an hour or so, and see if they come and find this bread again. But what turned out to be a crap day. If I didn't do that U-E and come back on myself, then I would have never had that fish on the mat, and I'd obviously saved a blank. So got to keep pushing on till the end, don't you? But I feel that's my reward for a massively frustrating day, if I'm honest with you. Massively frustrating. Gonna, like I say, sit it out now, so soak up this sun, because it's absolutely roasting over on this side. I can see why the fish are up here and literally like sucking at everything they can up in this shallow water on the edge here. So let's sit back, soak up some of this sun, have a drink, sort out the mess behind me from frantic 5 minutes, and I'll catch up with you hopefully. If these fish reappear, I'll try and get some footage on the camera. So fingers crossed. I'm going to be greedy now and ask for another one. So hopefully catch up with you in a little while. Right, so just been and ran down the shop quickly. Got myself the last loaf on the shop shelf, but don't know how much it's gonna, how much it's gonna work for this last hour or so. But I've moved around from the other side down to a big platform where there's a big area where they do all the boating and stuff like that. So I've just been shredding up this bread and chucking it down the right hand side, as well as trying to feed off these bloody birds. They're an absolute nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Literally, I could just bloody net them, cook them up and stick them in some wraps. They're really doing my head in. But I'm just chucking the bread like down the margin, hoping that a few might be in this area, because it's going to be the area that sees most of the last remaining bit of light and warmth. So just been putting the bread out down there, hoping that they think like, someone might be feeding the birds again. They come in, they find it all, and then who knows, might be able to nick another one, but the chances are probably pretty slim. But I thought, well, I've got another hour or two spare, why not try and make something happen? So yeah, this is what I'm looking at. So I'm just chucking it down that margin, and it's just floating in down here. So just gonna bung the rest of it out, keep a couple of slices for the hook, and then see if anything ventures in. But can only be worth a try, can't it? Like I say, I've got a couple of hours spare, so let's get the rest of this bread out, see if anything mooches in, and that's a look, and we'll go from there. So I'll catch up with you in a little bit. Look at this lot. Party for 20, and I think that's the end of that, to be quite honest. I've had a stressful day as it is, and I've not got the patience to be feeding off 1,001 birds. So I think that is going to be the end of that. Obviously just an opportunist moment over there as I was popping off home, but who cares, I managed to nick me a fish. So guess I better feed this lot as they all start flocking in. But never mind, at least I can go home and say at least I worked for that bite. And like I say, if I didn't go back and have a look to see that fish, see them fish having all that bread in the margin, then I would have never caught it. So as usual, thanks for watching the video, and sorry it's not full of fish, more than I expected. A lot more today, but you can't win them all. But at least we managed to nab one at the end, so it was all worth it. So as usual, leave any comments, etc. Likes, come and catch me on my Facebook, come and say hello, all the usual jazz. So thanks again for watching. Check out any of my other videos, and I'll catch up with you sometime soon. Cheers guys.